Well, that's a step in the right direction.
Hello, everybody. We're back again. It's Gen Z Reviews on a Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you all joining us as always. Today, we are definitely talking about a much happier film than last week. Last week, we talked about The Elephant Man. Very sad day. But, we got some good juice going for that, and that was a great movie. And here we go again. This is another great movie. Very different than last week's. But, it's definitely a breath of fresh air. We've been dealing with a lot of heavier films lately, and that with Apocalypto, those were kind of tough watches. So now we get to take it easy, relax, kind of go on a joyride here with Antonio Banderas and Anthony Hopkins. What?
Yep.
That was the craziest.
You didn't know he was in that? You didn't know he was in that? Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, believe it or not, you could actually race chain someone back then and it didn't matter at all. It's like, oh wow, he's one of the best actors in the world playing a Mexican. He does it fantastically.
Well, he was playing a Spaniard.
Oh well.
He was, but the Latino's not a race, which a lot of people get mixed up. But yeah, I do have issues with some of that casting. And I'll get into that when we talk more about it. Not huge, but just kind of bothered me a little bit more than it did when I first watched it years ago.
At least it's not like how they used to do it with a guy with an American accent playing Zorro.
Yeah, they just had a guy with a British accent playing Zorro.
Well,
the original
really
Zorro. It's like, what?
Alec Guinness in Lawrence of Arabia playing a Middle Eastern man. Like, how does that? Who comes up with that?
If you're good at it, no one. It doesn't matter. If you're good at your job and you do a fantastic job of it, it doesn't even matter. Michael Clark Duncan played the Kingpin, and no one batted an eye.
Yeah,
it was also not so much of the feeling of an agenda back then when they would do stuff like that, which there is now. So now my tolerance level for it is pretty much in Sub-Zero territory. But years ago it felt different.
And look at Sean Connery. The guy did all kinds of different characters from different ethnicities, and he always had a thick Scottish accent. He was playing
it worked, right?
Yeah, I mean, he played Ramirez, who was a 1,000-year-old Egyptian who became a Spaniard, and he's the most Scottish guy in that whole movie.
See, so there is hope. And you know what? I mean, his role in this, it is pretty crucial, and I do agree with you, Sin. There's something like. There is something off about it. It doesn't really, it kind of takes you out. Definitely takes me out of it. But he's so good, though. I mean, he's such a convincing actor. You kind of forget about it. At least I did.
I mean, he brought weight to the role because he is such a great actor. But it really did kind of throw me out of it because I forgot that he did not speak in a fake, Spanish dialect. He spoke with his English dialect. It's like, what am I listening to? But he's great in the role. It's just I wish he could have at least tried a little bit on the dialect. Same thing with the other guy, the villain guy.
Stuart Wilson.
Not the army guy, but that guy.
Montero.
Same thing. He spoke like with a British sounding accent to me, and I was no.
I mean. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but at this point, I've seen the movie so many times. I've gotten so used to it; it would kind of feel out of place if he actually did, do the Hispanic accent.
Yeah.
And plus, that's like, it doesn't really matter as much. It's still a fun story, and they still own up to the performance very well. I mean, at least. Catherine Zeta-Jones put in the work with the accent, and she's Welsh just like Anthony Hopkins is. But I think it still has its own charm. And plus, you got Antonio Banderas, who was like the first ever actual Hispanic actor playing Zorro.
Okay.
Wow.
I wasn't familiar with how many times they've attempted this story. Do you know, Ian?
They've done so many iterations over the years because it really all started back in the silent film era with Douglas Fairbanks. He was actually the one who got the very first Zorro film ever made because he read the Pulp Fiction magazine story that Johnston McCulley had come out with in 1919. So, and Douglas Fairbanks was a huge mainstay in Hollywood at that point when it was just starting. So when he saw the story, he actually read it on his honeymoon cruise. And he was like, I got to get the rights to this and make this into a movie. And you had the first ever Zorro film, The Mark of Zorro, and then of course you had several other iterations. Probably the most popular one that came out after that one was the one with Tyrone Power in the 40s. And then you had a few other ones. Of course, after that was the 1950s Disney TV show with Guy Williams, which that was kind of how I got introduced to it. Not by watching the show, but any of you remember the Disney sing-along videos, that they used to have back in the 90s?
I do.
Joe,
did you sing along, Ian?
Of course I did.
Got into it.
But it's like one of the songs they had on there was the intro theme for the Zorro TV show, and that's when I ever first heard anything about Zorro. And I was instantly, I just caught on to it. I was like, wow, this guy looks cool. He's got a mask, a cape. He rides on a big black horse. He has a sword and fights all these guys. It's the closest thing to a superhero that I've ever seen. Because I didn't watch a lot of superhero movies growing up. But I thought this was so cool. It really stood out to me. And then when I saw the trailer for this film, I was like, okay, now this I definitely have to see, because this beats that other version. That beats all other versions. Because you had the explosions, you had the crazy stunts and sword play. It was just more high speed and adrenaline rush.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a bad Zorro movie.
Oh, there has been.
not Zorro the Gay Blade.
Yeah.
Oh, those are blasphemous words. Brawler, have you ever seen that one?
What did you say?
It's called Zorro the Gay Blade, where Zorro breaks his foot and his was it brother or cousin comes over.
I tried watching it one time and I couldn't get through the first 10 minutes. Dude,
it's just flamboyant Zorro in different costumes the entire time.
Bright red costume.
Wow, that sounds very flamboyant.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of on par with the character to some effect. I mean, he is very flamboyant in this.
He played dual roles in it too. He played, regular Zorro and gay Zorro.
Oh wow! Dang.
He does it both ways.
Two personalities.
Yeah,
nice.
And it's like, but now it's like they've had like two European TV shows on Paramount Plus and Amazon that you can find right now. One's from Spain, the other one's from France. And they're okay for what they are, but it's like it just doesn't have the same quality as this one. Even the sequel for this one didn't have the same quality. I mean, as much as I enjoy it, I like it. Still, you get to see Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones come back, but it just doesn't have the same
spark.
Yeah, same spark as this one.
That's a shame. Here, before we get into it, just in case if you guys are new joining us, we appreciate you very much. The way this works is we're going to be kind of discussing generalizations about the movie. I also have it the film broken down into 6 chapters, and we're going to be discussing a lot of those key plot points and just get into the film altogether, kind of as it goes. We sort of kind of work on our own pace. But yeah, in case you guys aren't familiar with the film and you're watching this to maybe learn about the movie and see if it's something you'd like to discover, just basically, without spoiling anything too intensely, that obviously is about to come later. The film, it's pretty interesting. It's definitely a thrill. It's not something you can take too seriously at all. It's a very fantastical story. And the story pretty much goes like this. So after 2 decades in chains, the original Zorro, played by Anthony Hopkins, the white guy, emerges from the darkness to forge a reckless outlaw who is Antonio Banderas into a dashing new legend. So he's kind of being a mentor to him, helping him become the new Zorro. And together they battle a corrupt system amongst a backdrop of chaos, laughs, and love. So I really didn't expect there to be a whole mentorship story here. Going in, I really didn't know what to expect. The whole reason why I wanted us to talk about this was I heard recently that they're going to make a strange film where the 2 heroes of the story are going to be Django, who's Jamie Foxx, with Zorro. And I don't know, after seeing this movie, I really don't know what that looks like. That is absolutely wild.
It could either be the one of the worst things we see, or it'll be an absolute banger $1 billion movie. Either way.
We'll see. I mean,
those are the only two ways it can go.
Yeah. It's based off of a comic that was written by Quentin Tarantino a couple years ago.
Ooh.
And it's like where Django, I don't remember the exact premise, but it's like Django and an older Diego de la Vega, team up to fight a new corrupt villain. So if that's the case, a lot of people are saying, wait, are they gonna bring back Antonio Banderas? Since it's supposed to be an older Zorro, and it's like, yeah, it's not Alejandro because it was Diego, Anthony Hopkins' character, but it's like, hey, just change it up, change the name, let it line up with this film or something. I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Antonio Banderas, he's talked about wanting to come back and play an older Zorro, and it's like, you could do it, just don't go crazy with stunts that are clearly going to have to use CGI more than actual stunt work. I believe there's a way to do something like that with an older version of the character, and you still pay homage to him. Definitely don't make him a miserable drunk loser or something like that, or like what they did with Luke and
wow.
Luke Skywalker.
Imagine if they did that.
And
they wouldn't
Indiana Jones.
Jamie Foxx though, or maybe they would. I mean, I don't know.
They can't really have anyone else play Django. I mean, Jamie Foxx is Django.
Yeah. That's the problem. Both these guys are those characters. But nevertheless, part of the reason why I wanted to get this panel together was I asked you guys how you felt about this movie. And everybody here, I think, except Sin, had a pretty strong reaction to this, being that, it had some sort of impact or effect on you. If that's the case, what impact did this movie have on you? And how has this film intrigued you over the years to get to a point where you want to discuss it here today? Ian, why don't you start, because you're the most excited about this movie.
I am so excited. I'm bouncing off the walls. But yeah, it's just the fact that it's just a classic action adventure swashbuckling story, because I've always loved older, films that employ a lot of swordplay, great stunt work. And this was definitely a callback to that, especially in the 90s, when a lot of people thought that genre of the swashbuckling adventure movies was dead, because at this point, the last real big swashbuckling adventure film that had come out around that time, I believe, was this one pirate film with Gina Davis.
Cutthroat Island?
Yeah, Cutthroat Island. Yeah, that's the one. And it was a huge bomb.
Yeah.
It was a huge bomb, and that was the studios basically took a sign that was the end of that genre. It was dead. But you had these writers, Terry Rossio and Ted Elliott, who had been making a name for themselves in Hollywood writing movies that are of that genre. They started out with Aladdin at Disney, and then they would eventually go on to do this film, and they also worked on Treasure Planet, Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, and of course they went on to write the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, which was, took what this movie, Mask of Zorro, had done and took it up to a whole nother level, and with this big scope. But it really, this film in and of itself it takes the genre from the classic Hollywood, the classic B adventure films, low budget adventure films, and gives it a much more serious tone, gives it a much more makes you see it as less tongue in cheek, but more of, it has the perfect combination of drama and suspense, romance, and just big action set pieces with no CGI. Remember, this is like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, This is like real stunts, real explosions, real sets and everything. They built a lot of these sets, especially like the two haciendas in the film, the main two haciendas, Diego's house at the beginning and Montero's house. They were actually real haciendas that were in ruin before this film came, and the whole like they literally rebuilt these haciendas to their former glory from like the 18th century or 19th century, and it was it shows the work that they put into these movies, into these sets, these costumes, and also like you had Bob Anderson training Antonio and Anthony and Catherine Zeta-Jones in swordplay. This guy had a huge resume, like decades-long resume, all the way back to the adventures of Robin Hood with Errol Flynn in the 30s. So he knew exactly how to make really entertaining swordplay sequences in films, even all the way up to Lord of the Rings.
Wow. Hey, those are good reasons. Nice. Yeah. What about you guys? Any thoughts?
Oh, damn. I mean, Ian pretty much said anything.
Covered everything, right?
For me, it's just a fantastic movie. It hits on all accounts. Action, the romance, when it's serious when it has to be. It's heartfelt when it wants to be, lighthearted, funny. It just does so many things that it all perfectly works out. And what a great cast too.
Mm-hmm. Any thoughts from you, Sin, before we get to chapter 1?
Yeah, I specifically didn't tell you what I thought because I usually withhold my thoughts for the stream so that you have no idea going into it. I enjoyed this film, and it's been many, many years since I watched it. I always liked it, but this time I examined it with a little bit of more of a critical eye, since that's kind of what I do now more often when I watch movies. But yeah, it's fun. I think Antonio Banderas is perfect for this role. Catherine Zeta-Jones, even though she doesn't have a drop of Latina blood in her at all anywhere, she looked perfect for the part. She's gorgeous. Anthony Hopkins brought weight to the role, even though I still wish he'd spoken like a Spaniard. And the other guy too. I liked finding out interesting things about the character who played Antonio's brother was a real person. And so was One-Eyed Jack, which I did not know. So I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, Joaquin Murrieta was actually one of the real life inspirations for Johnston McCauley when he came up with the character for Zorro. So that was kind of a little nod to that, putting him in this. He was like
That's interesting.
He's considered to be like the Mexican Robin Hood. And another...
That's right. Yes, I did hear that. Did you guys notice the similarity between... Did you guys notice, let me say, the inspiration that Zorro was for Batman?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so many I never even locked into before.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wait, there's all of these, ticks all these boxes like Batman.
Well, interesting fact. What is the movie that Bruce Wayne and his parents go to see on the night that they're murdered?
That was one of the Zorro movies.
The Mark of Zorro, the one with Tyrone Power. It's referenced so many times in comic books.
Easter egg there.
Yep. And also, like, you see it in Batman v Superman at the beginning when they're walking out of the theater. You can see the poster for the film on the outside, on the wall of the theater as they're leaving.
I never put that connection together at all until when I rewatched it this time.
So that sounds like, Bruce Wayne is kind of inspired by Zorro to some effect then, right? That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's even been some comic books where he actually teams up with an older Zorro at some point. Like somehow Diego de la Vega is now he's immortal for some reason. And they get to have an adventure together or something.
Dang.
Wow, that's pretty neat.
Cool.
You know, thinking about this movie, I actually kind of feel bad for your guys' generation because you guys have Sydney Sweeney that has to pop out her boobs every 5 seconds. We had Catherine Zeta-Jones and prime Megan Fox.
Oh, forget about Megan Fox. She's nothing. She doesn't compare to Catherine Zeta-Jones.
No, man. Transformers, boys became men in that theater.
I always like hearing Ian's taste. Like, a lot of these movies, he's got a crush.
I see that Megan Fox is attractive. I know she was, but I was never really all that interested in her. I was like, she's just so boring to watch. She can't even act. The whole point of her being in the movie is just for eye candy.
Yep.
Real quick, let's get to some of these chats and then we'll go to chapter 1. We appreciate all you guys for joining us, and if you have any thoughts while we talk, please let us know in the chat. We also appreciate the super chats, like our friend Proctofile here. Thank you, Proctofile, starting us off strong with $2. Sorry, boys, but I got homework to do. Have fun. Homework.
See Procto.
No homework allowed on these streams. We don't talk about homework. No homework, no responsibility. We're talking about films here.
Those days are long behind us.
Yes. Blue collar loser. What's up, man? for $1.99. Jackson, you're awesome. Wait, no, you said stuff last night. Yeah, you like it. You like it better when I'm quiet. I'm not gonna be quiet. You will not silence me. You will not silence me, Blue. Nice try. He was pretty funny. He looked so dumb in his eagle mask. It was good seeing you though, Blue. That was hilarious. Mega Spider-Man for €5. Thank you, Mega. We always appreciate you. Z for Zorro. To all, fave Antonio Banderas film and why? Favorite Zeta-Jones film and why? Campbell's Goldeneye was classic. Will you do Zorro sequel? Let me answer real quick. Maybe I'd be kind of down to do the sequel eventually. I'm going to I don't know. I think there's so many other movies to talk about. I don't think we're going to talk about it anytime soon, but I'll put it on the list.
Yeah, it's fun for what it is. I mean, it's definitely not one you have to be in a hurry to check out, but it's nice to see where the story goes after that, and it still has fun action. They still do a lot of really great stunts in there.
I haven't seen any Antonio Banderas films or Catherine Zeta-Jones films. The only Catherine Zeta-Jones film I've seen other than this was Beetlejuice 2. That's sad.
I forgot she was in that.
Yeah,
no, she wasn't.
Was that not her? Or was that Monica
You're thinking
Bellucci?
Monica Bellucci.
Okay, I get them mixed up.
Okay, I was.
So then I've never seen her in anything else. That was it.
You're thinking about Wednesday.
Okay, that's it. You're right, but that's not a movie.
She was in a pretty good movie called Side Effects. That's the only thing I've ever seen her in.
She was also in The Phantom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was the one of the villains.
Yeah.
Is that like the old one?
The one with Billy Zane in it.
Oh, okay.
Classic movie.
Another famous Pulp Fiction character that came out around the time of Zorro.
Phantom.
Another film I like her in is No Reservations with her and Aaron Eckhart and Abigail Breslin, where she's a chef in a New York restaurant, has to basically take care of her niece after her sister dies. So it's a nice little simple drama piece. Also, one of the four main movies I like to watch that deal with food. No Reservations, Ratatouille, Chef, and Tortilla Soup.
I love Chef. Chef is so good. Nice. All right. Well, thank you, Mega. We appreciate you, buddy. Always. All right, friend Sly Jester's back. $5. Thanks, Sly. Good to see you, buddy. Which film was the better Antonio Banderas swashbuckling adventure? The Mask of Zorro or Puss in Boots: The Last Wish? Oh, yes, he does the voice of Puss in Boots.
Yeah, that was a good movie. The Last Wish was fantastic. I really liked it.
It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. I was like, man, this totally buries the first Puss in Boots movie. I don't even care about that one anymore after this. But yeah, I think as far as swashbuckling, I think Mask of Zorro qualifies more as a swashbuckling, adventure. I mean, Puss in Boots does, but it's more fantasy.
Yeah.
Well, LJ says it well here. He says, love this movie. Never has a movie buckled so much swash. Yeah. I've never seen one more swashbuckled than this either, LJ. I'm with you, bro. He says, Lawrence Oliver doing blackface in Khartoum as a Muslim war leader, doing a Middle Eastern accent. He's one of my faves, but that was a misfire.
What about John Wayne?
John Wayne?
Genghis Khan.
Yeah. That was bad.
He says Khartoum was 1966. Yeah, I've never heard of that one. Huh. Man, those were the days, huh?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Marlon Brando playing a Japanese guy.
Sly Jester says, I watched the first hour of this movie in every Spanish class I took between 1999 to 2003. It's a good choice. Your teacher knew well. And then finally here, he says, I stand with Bob. Both Bellucci and Zeta-Jones are gorgeous. Whoa.
Well, yeah,
Sly Jester, make your move, man. Make your move. Hit them up. You got their Instagrams. See what happens. Yeah, let's get to the first chapter here, though. This definitely took me by surprise. I never imagined Anthony Hopkins was going to be in this. It just doesn't make any sense, especially playing a Zorro. I remember when Anthony Hopkins was like doing all these crazy, stunts and throwing himself around and sword fighting. You got little close-ups of his face, and I'm like, is that Anthony Hopkins? Like, it's so out of place for him. But yeah, so here we are. We're 20 years in the past. It's 1821, and this is the original Zorro, who is Don Diego, and he is thwarting a public execution by a corrupt governor, Montero, who ends up being a central villain that plagues the Zorros throughout the rest of the movie. And he has quite the adventure here. He battles a lot of the guards, and he's really just gaining the respect of the people. He's inspiring these two kids who are younger brothers, Alejandro and Joaquin. And after what was considered to be a successful escape, because he was able to save these prisoners and inspire the people, he's back home with his wife and his child. Everything seems to be just fine. You look to your left and it looks like he has a bat cave. It's pretty crazy. I mean, it's literally a bat cave.
Yep.
But everything seems very comfy. There's nothing wrong here, except, oh crap, the governor has found him out, and he's got a bunch of his goons there with him. And they quickly, take care of him and start a violent gesture, and they go at it. And unfortunately, Diego's wife gets thrown into the mix and is accidentally killed. And everything, he's just totally devastated once that happens, of course. And neither of the guys wanted that to happen. Even the governor didn't. He actually, kind of loves her, but she never liked him. She favored Zorro, of course. And from this point forward, Zorro, the old Zorro here, is taken prisoner as Montero leaves for Spain with his daughter, Elena, taking her under his wing. And he kind of grooms her into believing in a totally different story that, he's actually her dad after all. And Zorro and the mom, it's not, their past did not go down the way that it actually did. So it's a pretty sad situation that ends up kind of haunting Anthony Hopkins throughout the rest of the movie because he wants to right that wrong. How wild do you guys think it was seeing Anthony Hopkins as come on, he's an older dude in this. I don't know how old he is. He looks like he's 50, and you see him doing all these whimsical gestures. He's flying around on the ropes. He's jumping building to building. That kid? Huh?
That's
well,
not
I
really
know,
him.
but the problem is this is the character, and he looked older even in these older, in this sequence that takes place 20 years in the past. Did you think this sequence was convincing?
He was 59, by the way, when they filmed
Wow.
this. Yeah. Yeah, I was looking it up because this was several years after Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah. I mean, I just, as soon as a kid seeing this for the first time, I was just thinking, wow, this is so cool. I finally get to see Zorro fighting all these bad guys and doing all this crazy stuff. I had no idea about stuntmen and, close-up shots and all the work that goes into doing this stuff. I was just like, wow, this is so cool. I'm getting an adrenaline rush watching this. But it's like you find out that at first he didn't want to do the movie. He said, I got a bad back. I can't do this stuff. And he actually ended up getting a laser operation done on his back that actually helped him. And he says he called up the studio, called up Spielberg, because Spielberg was in charge of this film. It's an Amblin Entertainment production. And he said, you know what? I think I might actually want to do this Zorro film. I mean, obviously I can't do much, but it'd be fun, And so he thought, you know what? I'm getting older. There's going to be a point where I can't do something like this again. So I might as well take this up. If this is the only time I get to do something like this, fine. It'll be a nice little thing to remember. And it was. I mean, because you see him as the older Zorro in the costume and everything like that. Yeah, he's 59, but you see him enjoying it. What he can do. Obviously, they have a stunt man for most of it, but he's doing a good portion of the sword fighting as well.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's having fun doing it. He's enjoying it. He's like, I'm never gonna get a chance to do this again, so I'm gonna just make it count. And he does. He really does.
Yeah, I think his dedication to the role sort of makes it more believable, like you said. He does enjoy it, and he plays the character well, even though it just doesn't seem like him at all. Like Anthony Hopkins, I just never would imagine him donning a role like this.
Yeah, that's the point. Is it's nothing like who he'd be in real life. I mean, it's like even like Odin in Thor. He's just kind of as cool as it is to think of him as Thor's father, you can tell there are times where he's kind of just phoning it in, but he's clearly not. He's giving it his all. He's enjoying it. And another thing I keep thinking about every time I watch this, this came out a few years before Batman Beyond. Have any of you ever seen that show?
Yeah, a little bit.
Parts of it.
I'm pretty sure Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and all the other guys involved in the writing for that show were inspired by this movie. The idea of a hero mentoring the next generation. You got Diego mentoring Alejandro in this. You got Bruce Wayne mentoring Terry McGinnis and Batman Beyond. It's just another way to see how Batman was inspired by this in so many other ways. But you see Anthony Hopkins at the beginning of this, you see him as Zorro, and then you get to see him as a family man. He's got, he's trying to put that life behind him. And then of course it all gets taken away from him by his adversary.
That's funny you said Batman. Is it called Batman Beyond or Batman Brave and the Bold?
No,
Batman Beyond.
Beyond, yeah. Because I was thinking, I've only seen a little bit of it, and I was thinking of old Bruce Wayne mentoring the younger subject, and that kind of came to mind for me. And I didn't even really watch the show, but it felt similar, like you said.
Definitely go check it out again, and also you got to watch Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, because that's probably one of the best Batman animated films, and also one of the darkest ones too. When you watch the movie, you'll find out.
So how do you guys think that this opening sequence establishes Zorro as like a folk hero and like a symbol of resistance?
Perfect. It does everything right. It brings him up there, and the kid instantly knows it's him just by seeing a little bit of the mask of it. We got to see Zorro in action. It wasn't, too flash. If anything, we get to see the skill and everything, and it was short and sweet.
Did what it needed to do.
Yeah,
it did what it needed to do.
Yeah, it did. It established his character, and you saw how the townspeople loved him and how he fought against the corrupt governor guy or whatever position he had. So yeah, you got a really good understanding just by that little bit at the beginning. And I had totally forgotten a lot of the plot points in this. I had forgotten what happened to his family. I just remembered Antonio's brother in there and Catherine Zeta-Jones. I had forgotten Anthony was in here. Because I tell you, it had been a long time since I'd seen it. And I've seen it multiple.
Brother.
I'll tell you why. Because the guy who plays his brother favors my brother-in-law a little bit. My husband's oldest brother. He's Mexican. And he just reminds me of my brother-in-law. Okay. So I'd never forgot him, that stuck in my brain, but I forgot all the other stuff.
That is crazy. I don't think there's anyone in the world that shares that with you. That's unique. I mean, I don't know who remembers the brother. I mean, the brother didn't.
I never forgot him. I never forgot him.
You forget Anthony Hopkins. That is crazy.
I don't think back then it really resonated with me that it was Anthony Hopkins. Yeah. I think he did the role so well. It wasn't like, because I think the problem is you're looking at him now after seeing, Elephant Man, just the body of work of future stuff. For me, watching when did this movie come out? Do we know?
1998.
Yeah, 98. I didn't know what Silence of the Lambs was and anything. It's like, here's some guy I've never seen before doing these things.
That's the ideal condition. Like I can't really unsee Hannibal Lecter. I can't unsee him. It really follows him everywhere.
He was so great in the role.
Yeah, when he plays such a notorious and crazy role.
It just doesn't. I can't shake it. He's literally Hannibal Lecter all the time. And he's not trying, but I look at him and it's like, yeah, that's him.
Well, thankfully for me, I never saw that movie. This was the first film I ever saw him in.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You've never seen Silence of the Lambs?
I've only seen bits and pieces of it. I have no intention of watching it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
It is kind of a gross movie at times. So
it's not everyone's cup of tea. It came back to the big screen last month, and I went to go see it on the big screen. I'd never seen it at the theater before. Yeah, it's a good film.
It was so good in the theater. I loved it. Yeah. I think what kind of like resonated with me here with his character was that, he is like he's an embodiment of the hero, and he does so many heroic things here. Something strange I thought was interesting about Zorro was how, just like Batman, he kind of has this no-kill rule. I mean, you don't really ever see them try to kill people. Like, it will happen on accident, or maybe it's like circumstantial, but there really isn't many points where he does kill people. I mean, he might stab a guy once every battle, but I mean, it doesn't seem like there's so many opportunities for them to make this much easier for themselves if they just start cutting everybody up, but that doesn't really happen. And he's like, his character is solely interested in saving lives, right? I mean, this whole theatrical development here, I don't think he was like exactly trying to make it theatrical. That's just the way he works. And he did all of this to help people. He put his life on the line to save those prisoners' lives. And he doesn't get anything from that at all. He, there's no ego to this. He doesn't get like any credit because nobody knows what he looks like and nobody knows who he is. And I think those are just classic heroic elements that we can all get on board with. And I thought, I feel like there's a lot of times, like when I think of Spider-Man, you think of like the small moments where Tobey Maguire talks to a kid, or, like one of the moments that sticks out to me is in Spider-Man 2, when those kids are running into the street and he saves the kids and tells them,
hey, you guys,
kids, don't play in the streets.
Yeah, don't play in the streets. It's like, and those little moments really stick out to you when heroes are able to kind of touch base with youth and sort of inspire them. And here we go. He has that moment with Alejandro and Joaquin, and you see that follows them all the way till their old age, because Alejandro still is holding on to that onto that medallion, which his brother was holding on to before. So you see that there is legacy there. And I think something else that I also admire about like witnessing him as a hero and what makes him also magical and special is that, the crowd just offers so much charm here. They all have these really pleasant, charmed reactions watching him in his arrival, and the way they cheer him on and show their love for him. It's kind of touching, and that's another thing I think about with Spider-Man 3. Everybody hates it, but honestly, I love it. And that was my favorite one growing up. I know everyone hates it, but
I don't hate it.
I love it.
I don't hate it.
I love it.
You all know the scene where Spider-Man's swinging in to save Mary Jane from Venom and Sandman, and everyone's cheering him on, and it's just total chills. And you see the firefighter, he's smiling and applauding, looking up in the sky. The kids are so relieved that finally their hero's there to save them, and we get that same sort of charming moment here with Anthony Hopkins Zorro. Yeah. So pretty well done. Mm-hmm. Why do you think, before we move into chapter 2 and get to some of the comments, why do you think, or not so much why do you think, how is the medallion that Anthony Hopkins Zorro, how is it used as like a plot device, and how is it a significant tool that the story uses to show time when he gives it to Joaquin? Because we see it quite a few times throughout the movie, and it seems like it has a level of value to it.
Well, I mean, it plays into his training later on in the film, obviously, because, you got the symbols on the medallion that are similar to what you see on the circles on the floor in his cave, in his training area. So it's emphasizes how, the better you get with a sword, the circle will start to close in around you, bringing your adversaries closer to you, and that much closer to retribution, which is what you're looking for here. You want to avenge your brother and, kill the man who murdered him, but you got to first, right now, you're in a completely different place than your adversary. Your adversary is obviously a skilled soldier. You, on the other hand, are, you're just a thief. You don't have the same training. You don't have the same skill set. So you guys are at completely different points as far as like the arena of fencing and swordplay. But as you get better, you'll start to close the distance, making you guys more equals, which will give you a better chance of actually beating him. And so that's where it plays in, but also it's symbolic of the, you know, the this moment that both the brothers have when they're young, you know, because they're obviously orphans, and this is something that gives them hope for the future. They're, you know, you think about it, they're poor, they have no place to go, they're probably living on the streets, or at this point, I think they're living in a mission. But, you know, they've lost their home, they've lost their parents. So it's a pretty, you know, pretty depressing time for them. But when they see Zorro, you know, fighting these guys, it gives them hope. And the fact that they actually get to help him and he rewards them, thanks them for it with this medallion, that's something that gives them, you know, that inspires them to keep going on, even all these years later. And you see them when they're older and they're still in a pretty bad situation. But this, they still have that medallion. It continues to give them hope. And then even after his brother is killed, you know, it becomes the last thing he has of his brother, you know, to hold on to. And it doesn't become much about hope anymore. It becomes more about something like, to remember, I have to avenge him. I have to get vengeance from my brother, you know, because he was the last family I had. Now I'm all alone. I don't have anyone else. This is all I have left of him. And then, of course, he finds Zorro, and Zorro gives him meaning again and becomes more of a father figure to him, something that he really needed at that point.
Wow.
Yeah, you covered a lot of ground there.
Yeah, I think he answered the question completely. I got nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, save some for us, man.
He's eating all the food. I put all the food out on the table. He eats all the food. No,
I am pretty greedy. Sorry.
Man, no, that's good. I think like something I noticed with it was, like, for me, I think time jumps are a little jarring sometimes, and it's not always convincing. I thought that medallion was a good tool to kind of ease you into that 20 years, because, you know, you see the kids with it, and, you know, it's kind of a special moment for them receiving that medallion. And then you see, you know, Antonio Banderas with it later, and it's still important to him for different reasons, but it also ties you back to that moment. And, you know, you also see Anthony Hopkins 20 years later, and he recognizes it, and that item still has meaning, and he's able to make that connection that he had all that time ago with from the kids that he gave that to where the man is now. It's pretty, you know, it's a pretty intricate tool that they have there, and it's an important item that I think just bridges that gap and makes it more convincing. But other than that, I think you definitely answered that question all the way, so that's good. Real quick before we get to chapter 2, let me just see a couple of these comments again. Oh gosh, Sly Jester. Dark-haired MILFs are everybody's type, or am I just showing my age? I think most people would probably agree with you there, Sly Jester.
He speaks the truth.
All right, World War Joe confirms. Nice. He also says the fox is a symbol of hope. He's definitely a symbol of hope, man.
So cunning.
Yeah. Homework. I haven't heard that name in 22 years. Hey, that's showing your age. That means if you're in college, you probably graduated at 21 years old, plus 22, 43 years old. Boom. Gotcha. All right, let's move into the second chapter here. So we got 20 years later, and Alejandro and Joaquin, they are not those cute little kids anymore. They are now outlaws, and they attempt a heist, but are captured by Captain Harrison Love, who's a real douchebag. And in a desperate move made out of love for his brother Joaquin, Joaquin sacrifices himself so that Alejandro can escape, and he dies. And he didn't have to die, you know. I mean, the captain could have just taken him in, could have imprisoned him. No, he kills him on the spot, and he chops his head off, which is even crazier. Well, and
he shot himself. His brother he shot himself.
I don't like that at all. I was not strange. A big fan of that. I thought he could at least try to take out one of those guys. You have a shot. You could have tried to do something.
Yeah, I suppose you're right about that. You know, Joe, I guess he could have at least gone out fighting or something like that. But I guess in a way he thought like how the point of that is like him saying, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of you're going to kill me right now anyway, so I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of just, executing me. I'm going to beat you to it. And so, but I guess you do have a point there, Warlord Joe.
He's probably not like the killing type. I think that would have been a choice. I wouldn't want to kill some dude as my last act and then die. You know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, you're doing that to yourself. It's a strange situation.
It takes a lot of balls to do that, to have the presence of mind that I'm about to die right now at my own hand. Let me just spit in this dude's face before I do it so I don't give him the satisfaction of the last kill.
Yeah. But, so yeah, unfortunately that happens. He does that so Alejandro can escape, and he gives him, he takes the medallion that we were just talking about. And meanwhile, Montero, who's the wicked governor from 20 years ago who killed Zorro's wife, he returns to California with the grown Elena, who he has now raised as his own, played by Catherine Zeta-Jones, not Monica Bellucci, even though they look pretty similar. And the original Zorro, who is Diego, he's been in prison this entire time. He has a pretty decent chance of escaping, and he luckily does. He escapes prison, and he encounters the drunken, vengeful Alejandro as he recognized the medallion around his neck. So why do you guys think that Alejandro and Joaquin grew to be heartless thieves? Like, what happened to them? How did that happen? Because they were so inspired, 20 years earlier, and here we are, and they're kind of scumbags.
I wouldn't say scumbags. I mean,
well, they're stealing from people.
Well, they're stealing from...
I don't think they were totally heartless, though. When you say heartless, I think like cold-blooded killers or something. I didn't get the sense of that from them. But I mean, after their encounter with Zorro, they just continued the life that they had on the streets. And a lot of times when you're in that situation, where people end up. So that was what they did, what they thought they had to do to survive. And that was what it was.
Yeah, and plus they're stealing from corrupt government officials, from these soldiers that are clearly taking advantage of these small farm folk, in this small town. Even like after they've gotten the drop on these guys, you see the old man, this old villager, telling them there's a strong box in the wagon. He's basically helping them, and Joaquin's like, no, that's why we came. And so it's like, and you see even in the background, Alejandro is talking with the kids. He's making jokes and stuff like that. So clearly they're not heartless. They're not scumbags.
All right, heartless wasn't the right word. I don't know, but they are. Okay, you know what? That first, when they were robbing those guys, I guess I didn't see them as like officials or military people. I kind of saw it as just maybe law enforcement in the area.
Well,
I get where you're coming from with it, but I think it's more of a very difficult thing that when they were younger, they were inspired by Zorro. It's like, man, we're going to do so many things. And then when they grow up, it's like, well, we really can't make much of a difference. We're not really doing much. We're just stealing from, the government every now and then, but we're not making much impact whatsoever.
But, they're more rogues than scumbag. They're like, they're like Jack Sparrow, just not as funny, and a little bit less.
They didn't have a huge bounty on their head either, so they weren't that scummy.
Yeah,
good point.
They were disappointed by that too.
That must have been so embarrassing.
That's it.
You know what this movie does so well? It gives us so many great surprises. Like, I didn't expect that. I mean, that was such a great opener for these characters 20 years later. Like, I really thought that ugly dude was going to like throw them in for the bounty, but no, it was all part of the scheme, and it was very convincing. I never would have guessed that.
Well, that's because they messed around with you when they didn't have to.
Yeah.
That whole scene with him pretending that he was going to give them water and then he didn't. There was no need for them to perform that way because nobody was there to see it. It was to fool the audience. I didn't really care too much for that. I think it would have been best if they omitted that part and just showed them coming into the town, and then you think just, oh, okay, he's going to turn these guys in or whatever. So
it's dedication to
good
the
note.
role. He's got to
Yeah.
be a character.
nobody's
It's like
watching.
It's like Jared Leto in Suicide Squad. Like, that
Oh
was a
no,
nut job.
let's not.
But it's
Yeah, they're
also-
literally they're so thirsty in the desert, and the guy won't give them any water, and he's laughing at him. It's like, okay, that's your friend. What's happening here?
Yeah, but it also kind of shows the relationship they have with this guy, Three Finger Jack, because then that comes into play later on in the film when you have that moment where he turns up in the mine and he tries to like fly at Harrison Love and kill him with the axe, but then Harrison Love shoots him, and you see that moment between Alejandro and him as he's dying. I guess in some cases before Diego and him started training together, this guy Three Finger Jack was the closest father figure he had. That's my takeaway from it. So I guess in a way it was necessary, at least in that aspect. But it's a nice way to reintroduce them as young men, see where they are at this point in their lives.
When we fast forward a little bit to the prison scene, the governor Montero, he's trying to find Zorro in the prison, and he doesn't, he's looking right at him at a moment, and he gets distracted and doesn't end up finding him. Why don't you think he recognized Zorro, Anthony Hopkins in the prison? Because I think his face would be kind of peppered in his head after what happened 20 years earlier, and he just kind of glances past him. It looks just like him still.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't really buy into that.
Well, he has that brief moment where it looks like he does recognize him, and he's taking a closer look. But then all of a sudden, all these guys start claiming to be Zorro, and then they start grabbing at him, and he starts getting all disgusted, like, "Get off me, you filthy prisoners!" He's like, I don't want to be touched by you. And then he's just like, I just want to get out of here. He says to Harrison Love, he's dead. Just forget it. There's no way he could have survived that place for 20 years. Nobody could. And so he just kind of writes him off after that, as like, he's gone. I don't have to worry about him. But also, like, the prison breakout part of it is it shows you how there's still a lot of life left in Diego all this time.
Yep.
He's been so determined to stay alive and get revenge for his wife and get his daughter back. He'll do whatever he has to, and then fakes a dead body, pulls a Count of Monte Cristo escape there.
I was just gonna say that. Do you think they took that scene from it, or vice versa?
I think
Which one came first?
Well, because the book Count of Monte Cristo has been around for like almost 200 years, I think. So yeah, clearly they took it from that.
You're talking about the Jim Caviezel movie?
Yeah.
Is that worth talking about on here? Because it's on my
absolutely.
list. Okay. All right.
That's good. That's a top 3 favorite movie of mine.
Man. All right.
Wow.
It's very much like this film in a way. You have another mentor figure in that film that's played by a great actor, Richard Harris. I think it was like one of the last films he did before he passed away, while he was also doing Harry Potter. And he mentors Jim Caviezel in swordplay and gives him an education in like reading and stuff like that, helps him become a believable count so he can get vengeance on the people who put him there in prison. So yeah, very much. But that movie came out after this, but the book Count of Monte Cristo, I'm pretty sure
It's old.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, you should definitely check that out. You'd love it, man.
Okay. I think we'll add that to the list. I've been curious about that one for a little bit now. Huh. I was also kind of thinking, like, in the prison, like you said, he was distracted, and you look at him and he's so disgusted by everything there, and like everybody's really ugly. Everyone smells terrible. It didn't really hit me that, Diego, Anthony Hopkins, has been in there for 20 years. Isn't it awful? Like, it's like, just imagine being in one of those old, disgusting dungeons for 20 years. That's crazy.
I think one of the reasons why he didn't recognize him is because he just looks so disheveled and just the life sucked out of him. It's like there's no way this could possibly be Zorro, even as pretending like he looks just too far gone.
Yeah. Plus, it's been 20 years. I mean, he's definitely looks different, and there's the great thing about social media for us today is we can constantly see what somebody looks like, all the time. But back then, of course, they had to go on what they remembered, of somebody years ago, or like portraits and stuff like that, which didn't always capture the real thing.
That's a good point.
Another interesting thing about the actor who plays Montero, I mean, he's played villains before, so he was a good choice for this character. And he played the villain in Lethal Weapon 3 and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, and but the only other
classic.
Nice note.
But the only other character that I'd seen him play, he played an older version of Robin Hood a few years later in this film called Princess of Thieves. Have any of you ever heard of that? Where
No.
It's about Robin Hood's daughter, played by a 17-year-old Keira Knightley before Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like he doesn't really get to do a whole lot in that film. It's mostly her story, which is it's nice to see, like that kind of a twist on the Robin Hood story. Another character that inspired Zorro, ironically. But yeah, it's a
lot of inspiration.
Yeah. Sometimes imitation is the best form of flattery.
Yeah. What do you think Diego saw in Alejandro? Like, when he stumbled into him, he was drunken, kind of gross, disheveled. It didn't look like he had much purpose in life. Why do you think he decided to take him under his wing?
Just has that look about him. He knows he has it, and it's a quality that you can't describe. But he took one look at him, and said, "Yeah, this is who I'm going to mentor, and I'm going to help him get his revenge quest."
Well, he could probably also see a bit of himself in that thirst for revenge as well.
And also because I guess he felt he kind of owed him, because he helped him all those years ago when he was a kid. So now he feels bad for him, obviously, because he lost his brother, and I guess he feels like you need guidance. He says to him that famous quote, "When the pupil is ready, the master will appear." And so he's like, I can't just leave this kid like this on the street. Plus, if he tries to pick a fight with this guy, he's going to get killed. So I might as well help make it a little bit more fair for him.
That's a good point. That may be it right there. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Which part?
Huh?
Which part makes sense to you?
Oh, that he feels bad for him because when he was a kid, he was helping him out and everything, and he just sees a lot of himself in him, and that equals.
I was gonna say, isn't that kind of noble of him that even as he is an agent Zorro and he wants to do his own revenge quest too, he sees someone else is like, you know what? I think I'm going to help this guy out too.
Yeah. And they both kind of help each other.
That was getting ready to say, because him helping Alejandro is what gets him in to do what he needs to do for his own revenge. So it's like they do help each other.
And he doesn't have anything going on right now either. It's like he was kind of a little directionless himself. At least that was my interpretation. It didn't seem like he really knew what to do with himself at that point. He, was alone in his lair. He went back to his estate, and like, what now? So yeah, interesting how they're able to kind of play off each other. Real quick before we get to the next chapter and a few comments, I think this film, as mentioned earlier, is definitely flamboyant, and flamboyant's fun, and I love the fun of the thrill of it. All of these action set pieces are really wild, vivid, and like totally fantastical, right? Do you think that it is convincing, or do you think it kind of takes you out a little bit, seeing just how unstoppable Zorro is, both of these Zorros, and how just magical the Zorro character is, being able to do so many wild things that no other ordinary person can do, and go through these strange acrobatic gestures as well?
I mean, I think it's more believable than a lot of other things that I've seen in film. But I mean, yeah, there are some instances where I'm like, that wouldn't play out in the real world like that. He'd probably get killed a lot more times
Oh yeah.
A lot more severely or easy. It wouldn't be as easy for Zorro in some cases, but at the same time, it's the fact that they're doing real stunts, they're not using CGI. That kind of helps sells the believability of it, and plus like I'd say I'd use the word theatrical more than flamboyant, because it's like it's not like I mean, it's not like flamboyant in the sense where it's like so overly colorful or stuff like that. Like it's too theatrical. It's just theatrical enough where it's it's the fight scenes, the stunt work, and the explosions that really help sell the film. And the fact that they put so much time and effort into the the choreography and the stunt play to make it as believable as possible. It's just something that screams old Hollywood and not something that you see anymore, unfortunately.
I think it was pretty believable because Zorro's whole training thing is mostly agility and improvisation. And we see that just throughout the movie. It's in so many different, like when he's fighting the big guy, he's not trying to punch him. He picks up the 2 cannonballs and starts smacking him around. And a lot of it, exactly. A lot of it is, okay, how do I make my escape here? How do I deal with, I mean, a lot of the times he's going against military people that their training is completely different. They're not practicing theatrics. They're practicing regiment and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't think it was too over the top for me.
Well, plus there were also multiple times that we saw him just completely screw up. Something didn't go right for him. He wanted to land on his horse just perfectly, and the horse moved. I mean, there were all these times where he was falling on his face, and things were just going.
Yeah, but
wrong.
He never got hurt, though.
No, he never got hurt. But it kind of showed that he wasn't this super polished hero like Zorro 1.0 was, because he was new at it. Yeah. And I thought it was funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's like. You don't want to see your heroes get severely hurt, but just enough you see them take a bit of a beating, just enough to where they feel more believable. They don't feel too super powered.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's funny, though. He didn't really take a beating, though, did he?
He got thrown around by that big guy, and
Yeah, but he was all right. Nothing really happened to him.
I mean, it's not like he can just say, "Hey, I'm going to take a week off." Like you got to go back out there. Like, look how many times we've seen Batman reiterations where he's all beat up, bruised, Alfred's tending to his wounds. Like, well, I gotta keep going.
Yeah. Plus, he took more of a beating from Diego during the training.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That whipping and everything like that. He was like enjoying that a little too much.
Did I forget, or did was he trained in how to dance? Because I don't remember them showing him doing the training for dancing. Did they show that? Because I completely forgot it. Because when he's dancing with Catherine, I was thinking to myself, how does he know this perfect? How does he know how to do this dance so perfectly?
You're talking
the
about
dance, the dancing.
That's just genetics.
I thought you were talking about Antonio Banderas.
Oh, I am talking about Antonio Banderas' character. How would his character have known how to do that fancy dance that he did with Catherine when I don't think we saw any No, he wouldn't have known that at all.
Yeah, private lessons with Diego.
But I mean, they didn't show it though. I don't think, did they? Or did I forget?
That's the
they should have. They should have shown him training him how to dance, so you would know that's how he knew how to do what he did.
There was probably a deleted scene somewhere of him showing him how to dance.
They should have kept it in.
That'd be awesome.
I
want to see Ian show World War Joe how to dance.
I would love to do that.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, I'll take lessons. I take lessons every Saturday. Okay.
Oh man, look at that, Steve.
Yeah, I guess the reason why they left it out was because it just would slow the movie down and something like that. So you just have to.
It could have been a quick, just a few seconds. Just, when they're showing him doing training, showing him also teaching him dance steps. And then you would get it because I remember.
So lame.
Yeah, but he's got to fit into this high society, so he's going to have to know how to do these things. And so when he does this dance with Catherine, I was thinking, how does he know how to do this so perfectly? We never saw him training for it. I feel like that was a missed opportunity.
See, that's the problem, Brawler. You're looking at it as if it was done today. It would be lame and cringy. Back then, it would have been handled with a little bit of humor and respect to it.
Yeah,
Big difference.
Sure.
And that's what I've kind of noticed with a lot of these movies we've seen from 10, 20 years ago. They were just done so differently and just like little details here and there. And today they can't recreate it.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is a missed opportunity. I get what you're saying, Sin. They probably could have shown that, and it would have been a nice little moment, just to see a different side of his training like that. Definitely give it a little bit more comedic flair. Like if you see him trying to show him how to do the stance, and he's like
exactly.
He's like,
yeah,
come on, stop making this awkward. You got to know this stuff.
Yeah, I agree that they should have. Maybe you're supposed to kind of assume that that's what happened, but I think it would have been a nice touch to show that.
That would be funny to see Anthony Hopkins and Antonio Banderas slow dance together.
Anthony Hopkins telling him eye contact. You must look your partner in the eyes at all times.
And he's like
hands on the hips,
awkward face.
Which is why then it would be so cool. Which is why then, so when he sees them dancing later, and he has that face, the look on his face, then it would be like, oh, okay, he's seeing his training, and not only is his training being demonstrated, but with his daughter.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Like Antonio Banderas had always been trained as a dancer for years. I think even like when he was doing the sword fighting for this film, they actually had him train with the Spanish Olympic sword fighting team, for a couple of weeks before he came onto this. So
they went through a lot of sword fighting training.
Oh yeah,
all three of them, many hours a day.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Great. Here, let's get to a few of these comments. Then we'll move on to the next chapter.
Bare minimum too. Like, hey, you train your people of how to do these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Hey, our friend Tony Down Under. What's up, Tony? Good to see you. Such a fantastic film. Just popping in to say hi. Got off streaming for 11 and a half hours. Anyway,
you're doing this since 11 a.m.
Really fantastic. Wow, that is
a long time.
That's some dedication right there.
Possible.
I wasn't even on lunch break yet.
Stream? Was this a sleeping stream where you just slept the whole time? Wow, good for you, Tony. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Oh, Papa Pumpkin's here. Gord King. This movie is top tier. Yeah, I'm glad you like it, Gord King. Good for you. Sly Jester, this was funny. I was talking about my high school years. I turned 40 in March, you little shit.
I was going to say, I wondered if he was referring to his high school years.
Yeah. Oh, he says, but he's being nice, just taking the piss. Love this channel and the panel. Oh, that's nice. Thanks, Sly Jester. We appreciate you very much. All right, let's move on to chapter 3 of this story. Ooh, look at the handsome man himself. So chapter 3 is the training of a hero. Diego, who is he just doesn't look like a Diego at all. That's Diego right there. Anthony Hopkins is Diego. He does not look like Diego. So when I say Diego, I try to say Diego Anthony Hopkins. He takes So he takes Alejandro to his ruined estate's secret lair and begins rigorous training in swordsmanship and discipline. And Alejandro, he decides that he wants to have kind of a impulsive first outing as the masked Zorro, going to steal, goes out to steal a horse, and I guess it's sort of his coming out party. I don't know. He didn't really. It was kind of ridiculous that he went and did that. He wasn't prepared. He got lucky. Nothing happened. And yeah, Diego was not a fan of it. He gave him a good scolding, and he emphasized to him that Zorro serves the people. It's not about personal glory. It's not about your ego. And he gives him a new challenge, though. Diego challenges him to infiltrate Governor Montero's circle instead, which is a totally different challenge that we will talk about very soon here. How well do you guys think the mentorship between Diego and Alejandro plays out? Do you think it's like an on-par depiction, like what we've seen from other classic cinematic mentorship characters? Like one I have in mind, of course, like the classic one is Old Ben and Luke. I kind of got vibes of that from these guys, but I don't think it's as solid as them.
I got it from, I even mentioned it tonight, Bloodsport. Some of like the training montage, especially when he was.
I'm talking about mentorship. The mentorship.
Yeah, like the old man and main character from Bloodsport.
I don't even remember an older dude in Bloodsport.
It was mainly at the beginning of the film. He wasn't in there that much.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think it definitely holds up with something like Luke and Ben in its own way. I mean, because you think about it, Ben doesn't really get to train Luke that much. It's mostly Yoda who trains him. But this is like if Ben had, or Obi-Wan had not been killed by Vader and actually survived, and he had gone on to train Luke, this is probably what that would have looked like a little bit. Less abusive on the training, on the mentor's part. But yeah, I think it holds up very well. You see the relationship starting off, it's a little rocky, but they clearly come to have a respect for each other. And of course you see the effect that Diego is having on Alejandro. He's improving, he's getting better and coming into his own. And of course he wants to break out and try it on his own. He's like, this is his dream from when he was a kid. It's like, this is every kid's dream, getting to be their favorite superhero and actually live out that fantasy. But of course he learns the hard way. Being Zorro is not, it's not all fun and games. You're literally putting your life in danger, and he reminds him, this is not some game for you to have fun with and just make a name for yourself. There's real purpose behind this. It's not all performances and back flips, front flips, and performing for the crowd. This is, you're literally fighting to protect the people, protect innocence, and stand up against corruption. Zorro has meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it holds up, with the exception of my complaint about not showing the dancing stuff. I think it holds up pretty well. And while we're talking here, I kept flashing back on the Remo Williams movie, the training that character went through. You guys probably, I don't know if you've seen it or not. It's not widely known.
Which one is that?
Remo Williams.
Which movie is?
Remo Williams.
Yeah,
it had Fred. It had Fred. That was his name. It had Fred. Was his name Fred Ward, the guy who played in Tremors? He died a few years ago. Anyway,
Fred
Remo
Ward
Williams
is dead.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that sucks.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there's all this training that he goes through in Remo Williams, which I do recommend that film. It's a fun 80s film. I recommended it to the drinker. I don't think he's gotten around to watching it yet. I think he would like it. But as we're having this discussion, I'm thinking about that sort of training, which was a bit more intense than what he went through in this movie. But I thought this one was fine. I thought it was adequate. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I think there's like a few reasons why it works. Anthony Hopkins, he has this confidence to him that just plays off super well, that he is wise and he's confident in what he knows. And he's also
got a commanding presence.
Yes. And even though he's old, he's still just as capable. Literally, he seems like he's just as capable as he used to be. And that's kind of part of the disconnect a little bit, is that he's really, pretty, able to do the same sorts of things here.
Muscle memory.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like he's slowed down that much, even though he's a lot older. Like you said, he's like in his 60s, 20 years earlier, right?
I know. So he's supposed
crazy.
to. Yeah, I don't know how old is his character supposed to be in the movie. Probably much younger.
He has to be.
Yeah, I think his character is
maybe in his 40s.
Yes, like maybe mid 40s, something like that.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's not like he was like a tax accountant or something. He was Zorro. He was constantly training, constantly preparing for these things. So even as a 60-year-old man, I still think he could whoop our asses.
Probably.
Look at Stallone in Rocky Balboa. He was in his 60s and that, and he was taking real punches from that guy. And then also in the first Expendables, he literally is fighting Stone Cold Steve Austin and breaks his neck on the back of that wall. He's still doing a lot of crazy stuff.
I like to point out, in Rocky Balboa, he would have died in the first round in real life. One hit to the head, he would have been gone.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know, man. That boxer he was fighting was pretty flabby compared to him. He wasn't messing around with all that muscle.
Right, but all the concussions he's suffered in the past, I don't know. But yeah,
it's a fantasy. So
Fair.
Why do you guys think that Alejandro chose to kind of bite off more than he can chew and go off to do to steal the horse on his own? Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's a pretty big mission he went on. I mean, he was going behind enemy lines, and you saw there was like 20 dudes in there. Like, what do you think his reasoning was to do that without his permission?
He was over. Yes, yeah. He was overconfident. He thought, he's kind of like how you have a parent trying to teach their child, and the child thinks they know so much more, especially like when they're a teenager, and all that. So I feel like it was a very similar dynamic. So yeah, he thought he could handle it. I know how to do this. I got this.
He's like, "Whoa, you're Zorro now. Go do it." Yeah, I got this.
Yeah.
Plus, he's like, Zorro has to have a black horse, and there's a black horse. I'm taking it.
It's a beautiful horse too.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
How do you think like this premature action? How do you think it helps with his like character arc? Becoming the hero. I feel like failing along the way is part of the lesson.
Yeah. You're gonna say something, Joe?
No, I was gonna. I mean, Luke, you first. You haven't said anything.
Okay, Luke.
All right. Well, I don't recall him failing all that much. He was a little clumsy here and there, but he really made a name for himself. Generally, like there were crowds of people chasing him. He was just finding every possible way to stop them. Like he knocked down like boxes off of like the buildings, falling on them. He was jumping all over the walls, and yeah, so he really made a name for himself in a quite badass way. So I feel like that's how he became known in the best way.
Yeah, but it was very clumsy, and he could have gotten himself caught or killed.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's the quintessential. You learn from your mistakes.
Yeah,
and he does. He realizes. You see after this point in the film, he comes more into his own. But you kind of have to see this part of the film where it's like, because he doesn't have like the classic Zorro costume. It's just a makeshift version of it.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like what's a good example? It's basically kind of like if you were doing an origin story or like a real origin story of something like Superman starting out as just coming into his own, but he doesn't really have a full costume. It's like
like Spider-Man.
Yeah, or like
that costume he had in the first movie.
Yeah, the first one. It's him kind of earning that that title of Spider-Man and sort of earning the costume by making these mistakes.
Yeah.
So it's also a fun bit of comedy as well. Seeing him make those mistakes and also seeing the horse trying to not being completely controlled, because they said that horse in the making of the film when they were shooting that scene was a handful. Like the part where it rears up, breaks all the bunks. They said there was a moment where they couldn't get the horse to rear up. It just wouldn't cooperate with its trainers.
Man.
So the horse, you see the fun relationship between him and the horse. The horse is like, you haven't earned the right to ride me, or call me your horse, or something like that.
Well, he kind of psyched him out, because you think he let him put the saddle on and he didn't do anything, and then he got on him and he didn't do anything. But when he kicked him in the sides, that's when the horse was like, yeah, no.
That horse was raised with bulls. I know it.
Yeah. And then, of course, when he tries to jump on his back and he moves out of the way and he hits the ground, that's like him saying, "Yeah, that's payback for you kicking me with those spurs."
Exactly.
That hurt.
Good, nice. Oh, that's good. Here, let's move on to the next chapter, chapter 4. Here, we are going to put on the picture of the nobles. Ooh, we're about to get into the politics of the film, everybody. So, here, Alejandro is posing as a noble with Diego Anthony Hopkins as his servant. And at Montero's party, there's a he's trying to kind of win his favor and sort of get on the inside of the Governor Montero's group there. All of this to, enact revenge that he seeks and to figure out what's going on behind the scenes. And of course, Governor Montero is the father, the adopted father to Catherine Zeta-Jones' character in here. So there's a lot of reasons to include yourself in this party. And during this entire sequence, this is where we get into the more politics, what goes on behind the scenes. And of course, there's a secret meeting that they discuss some pretty terrible plans they have. And while Alejandro's there, he begins to entice Elena's curiosity. And he also learns of Montero's plot to buy California from Santa Anna using gold from a secret mine, which is being operated by slaves. And, even crazier enough, all of that gold is technically Santa Anna's gold. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of like giving their gold back to them, which is, a total scam, and they would hate that. So they're trying to keep it under wraps. And in this chapter, Elena begins questioning her past after meeting her former nanny, which suggests that her entire upbringing she grew to know was a lie. Ooh, there's a lot of conflict arising here. And it's definitely, I think it starts to slow down through this sequence. I wasn't a big fan of this. I thought it kind of brought down the momentum we've had. It's been a constant thrill. There's been a lot of kind of inspiring action sequences, and here we are in this kind of political, well-dressed affair. And for me, I thought it kind of harmed the film's momentum. Do you guys feel that way, or did you like and appreciate this sequence? What are your thoughts?
I don't feel it harmed the film at all. When there's too much action and thrill, it desensitizes me and I get bored. So I liked the downtime because this is crucial. He's got to worm his way in, and this is showing how he does it. It kind of reminds me of like spy stories and stuff like that, where things aren't always bombastic and over the top. And there's all this subterfuge going on and elusiveness and playing a role. And so, yeah, I really actually like this part of it, probably more than a lot of the other parts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
we need a little bit
sophisticated.
We need a little bit of plot going on in this movie.
Yeah, we need some downtime too.
It was a lot of action, a lot of build up, but we had to see what the bad guys are doing, and it's a pretty believable, simple thing too. It's not really over the top.
Yeah,
and also because we needed moments to a little bit more time with Alejandro and Elena to establish the love story, because they don't really have a lot of moments in the film together.
No.
You have like the confession booth in the church. That's like the closest that they actually get to have time to know each other personally, without actually seeing each other's faces, knowing who they're, at least she doesn't see his face and she doesn't know who she's talking to. And then like this part, with them dancing, it's like that, it gives a little bit of that sexual tension that you see going on between them, and then of course you get the sword fight scene between them later on in the stables. So you don't really get that much time with them in the film. Plus, Catherine Zeta-Jones really doesn't do a whole lot in the film.
No.
The only parts that she really gets to do something is either the dance or the sword fight scene in the stables, and then later on she helps out with
breaking the people.
Breaking out the people.
And
it's funny because there is a deleted scene where you see her training with Captain Love, which I guess was originally it was like, well, we got to show that she's actually training in sword play, because if that scene in the stables, like it's like that kind of just comes out of nowhere because we never knew anything or saw anything about
but
her.
She tells him that she had been training since she was like 4 or something like that. Yeah.
But
so
like,
I guess that was the vehicle to letting us know without having to show that scene.
Yeah, I guess it kind of helps, but you have that whole saying, "Show, don't tell." I mean, I get why they deleted it.
I'm glad they did.
Yeah, it kind of slows things down. It's mostly her and Love riding on these horses, like slicing watermelons on these poles, and then like it's like old school jousting, really, and it's very brief, but it's a nice little moment, and also, of course, it shows that her dad doesn't approve of her. Montero doesn't approve of her doing that. But we also get a little bit of that at the dance or the banquet scene where she's trying to give her opinion about politics with these guys. She's like the only woman there, and she's trying to have a seat at the men's table, and Montero's like, "Hey, this is not something that old ladies should be talking about." Basically.
Here, real quick, let me mention here, Tony. Before you leave, what's up, Tony? Tony Ilias, 2561. We appreciate you, Tony. Hail Box Office Brawler. Love seeing you on Film Thread. Thanks, buddy. I wanted to catch these before you left. Thanks for joining us, Tony. Plot. Who needs plot in a movie? Shh, right? You know what? I'm not gonna lie. With this movie,
I mean, there's certain movies where people don't want plot, but this is not the type of movie.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
You got to know what the bad guys are up to, and so this moment you definitely need it, so that you understand what Montero's plan is, because we don't really know what his plan is up until now. Mm-mm. And you think about it, this is actually a pretty interesting plan. It's not like what we've seen in other films where the bad guy has this crazy, over-the-top, extravagant plan to take over. It's very, very well thought out,
grounded,
meticulous. Yeah,
feels grounded.
Yeah.
Well, since you brought up Catherine Zeta-Jones, of course, in this sequence, we start to see like some chemistry form between Alejandro and Elena. Do you think like their relationship was any interest to you guys? Do you think that it was handled pretty well in here? Was it something you wanted to see more of, or how did you feel about the way it was handled and kind of fostered throughout the film?
I'm sorry.
No, sorry. I was just going to say, I'm glad they didn't dwell on it overly much to where it was very sappy, because I don't like that. We got just enough to get that they were into each other, and we weren't overly bombarded with it.
I mean, I'm kind of the opposite. I do kind of think that it might have benefited, if they had at least one more moment where you actually see them, kind of like alone talking to each other, getting to know each other on a more personal basis. Like he learns a little bit about her backstory, and maybe he wants to tell her a little bit about himself, like who he really is, but he has to kind of, fabricate some kind of lie, but it just to give it a little bit more than just it's there for the, the sex appeal and stuff like that, which it obviously is, and that definitely kind of gives the movie a little bit more flair. But I think if they made it a little bit more personal, like feeling like a real relationship starting to bud, or grow, I think that might have helped it a little bit more. But I get why they didn't do that, because again, it would be just too time consuming. They didn't have time for it.
No. I'm all in on the sex appeal. This thing was smoldering.
Smoldering.
We didn't even have much
getting hot in here, guys.
The Lord
don't get me wrong.
Fuego was rising here. Oh, he was into her the second he saw her.
She was into him too, whether he was Zorro or Alejandro.
Going on. We don't even need words or character development. They're already into each other.
Yeah, she literally admits it to him in the confession booth. She says, "I felt warm."
I mean, they're both gorgeous. So, Antonio Banderas was really big back during this time.
He's gorgeous.
Like huge. He was a big deal. So
that's because of Desperado. That's the movie
not just Desperado. Well, that, but also he had been in a movie with Sylvester Stallone right before that. I think it was called Assassins.
Yeah.
Kind of made a bit of a splash with that.
Yeah. That really was the movie that got him in the door. But I think it was Desperado that was
a big blockbuster.
I would say Desperado too definitely really got his name out there, and especially this one.
Set him up as a leading man.
Desperado is a sequel, by the way, box office.
Oh, okay, Desperado.
Yeah, the first one was called El Mariachi. The first one's called El Mariachi. Robert Rodriguez made it on a super low budget. He had done a drug clinical trial and used that money to make mariachi and had friend. Yep. And it's actually a pretty good story. And then you know, he made bank on that, got noticed and everything, and then Desperado was the sequel. So Antonio Banderas plays the character from the first movie, but he's, you know, they recast the main character and put Antonio Banderas in it.
Huh. Yeah, Robert Rodriguez was originally supposed to direct this, but they didn't. You know, his vision was a lot more violent and R-rated.
It would have been. It would have been.
It wouldn't have worked, I don't think.
I wish it was R.
I wouldn't have minded an R-rated.
I don't like all this sword stuff, and nobody gets cut, or you know, it should be way more graphic.
If we get Django and him, it's gonna be R-rated.
Oh,
it's gonna be bloody as hell. It's gonna be everything you want to see. But this now, this was a fun time of Hollywood.
This was a family film.
Exactly. We got family films that hit on all levels without being overly violent and, you know, overly, I guess, cursing and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of profanity in this.
No. I'm glad it's clean. It's a clean family film, like you said. You know, real quick before I move on, I didn't like her at all. I'm sorry. She's good looking. That's it. I don't know. She didn't add anything. She didn't have really a personality. She didn't really add anything to the movie. And then what she did in the end.
Yeah.
Like, she's the reason Anthony Hopkins is dead, just so you know. It's her fault.
What?
Zorro's going to pay you a visit tonight, Jackson.
She didn't want him to kill her fake father, even though she knew that wasn't her father by then.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was a cringe moment, but Anthony Hopkins' character had to die, so they had to figure out a way for it to happen.
But it's like, you think about it, Montero is the only father she's known all her life. And so she feels a certain affection for him, a certain love for him. And it's like, even though she knows he's not her father now, and she can't bear to see him killed or anything like that.
Oh, I get it. It's just annoying because as the audience member, you know what a slime ball he is.
She's in denial.
Yeah, I just don't think, like you said, there's just not really too much of a reason to get excited for these two, except they're two good-looking people, and you like Antonio Banderas. You want him to get with a girl, right? I mean, that's it.
I mean, sometimes that's really all you need.
True.
And I mean, it definitely works. I mean, just the visual of them being together, that's part of what sells it.
Yeah, they look like a couple.
Yeah. And of course, like, I mean, Spielberg was the one who wanted Catherine Zeta-Jones for this. You know, I think originally they were thinking about Cameron Diaz for Elena.
Yeah. See, I would be totally cool with it.
No.
That would really throw everything off.
Cameron Diaz is an actual Latina, so.
Oh, she is. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
she's blonde. No one would believe it.
That I don't know I don't remember if blonde is her real hair color, but they could have fixed her hair color.
That would be almost
I'm not sure.
American Psycho 2.
I'm not sure. I think Catherine was a good pick for this one. She looks, she's
absolutely.
Monica
gorgeous.
Bellucci was great in this. She did a great job.
Blasphemy.
Have you seen Brotherhood of the Wolf? Okay, Monica Bellucci is in that. It's a French film. Oh. She's in that. Yes, there is a sex scene.
Go on.
Or some nudity, or there's some nudity and stuff. But
no details.
I thought she mentions that because
because I know. Yeah, I know. But it's a good movie, and she's in it. She has a part in there, and she's beautiful in there.
Yeah, no thanks.
You know, I just saw today that Catherine Zeta-Jones and Anthony Hopkins are in a new movie that's coming out here soon. It's called A Visit to Grandpa's. It's like where you have a kid who is visiting his old granddad that I guess Anthony Hopkins is playing. And it actually takes place in Wales, where both she and Anthony Hopkins are from.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it sounds good. Good to know.
Sounds sad.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like it's going to be a happy ending whatsoever.
From what I've seen of the synopsis, it's supposed to be like this kid has to go visit his grandpa on his farm, but ends up having this crazy magical adventure. Don't know what all the details are, so maybe it's like one of those old films that you had in the 90s, like kid adventures, like what was that one with Anna Sophia Robb and Josh Hutcherson? You remember that?
Oh, Bridge of Terabithia?
Oh, that's a good one.
Something like that.
That was
That's a
very
good one.
sad.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Minus the death, hopefully.
We'll have to do that one next.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Well, you cried during that one.
Oh, poor Joe. We'll wipe your tears.
Thank you.
I want the panel to cry watching the movies we watch. Just so you know, I want us all to cry.
You gotta get a heartfelt. You gotta get like John Q or something like that.
Yeah, I don't have any heartfelt ones coming up, sadly. So sorry.
Not.
I guess we got more bleak. We got more bleak next week.
You want to watch something that'll make you cry? Watch anything with a dog that dies.
Oh,
Marley
Lord.
and me. Gen Z reviews Marley and me.
Or The Dog's Journey.
Oh, who's in that one? Is that
Dennis?
Yeah,
Dennis
Quaid.
and
Yeah,
Josh Gad.
right. Okay.
That's an insane premise of a movie. What if a dog dies a bunch of times and keeps getting reincarnated? It's like, yeah, that's really gonna bring in the people.
Yeah, sadly.
Here, let's we'll go on to the next chapter here. Things are about to get even more interesting, people. Chapter 5. We got this chapter and the next chapter. So at this point, Diego Anthony Hopkins, he has seen the progress that he's made with Alejandro's training, and he agrees that it's officially time to pass the Zorro mantle to him. And yeah, he's pretty pleased by that. And now being the newly crowned legend himself, Zorro. So when we say Zorro, we're talking about Alejandro. He steals Montero's map to the gold mine with hopes to halt their production. And amongst the chaos, Elena pursues and duels the masked Zorro, leading to a very passionate kiss, while the governor Montero schemes with the captain to destroy the mine and kill all of the workers to cover his tracks. And out of a last-ditch effort to save his daughter, Diego confronts Montero and is captured himself, but reveals his identity to Elena, which causes a lot of problems for the old governor. So just kind of generally, before we get into like this chapter, I think Zorro is just he has such an iconic look and vibe about him. You know, I've known about Zorro, this character, for a long time. I've seen him. I've seen pictures. I've seen figures. I've seen posters. I've mixed him up with Princess Bride so many times. He just, man, there's so many times.
That's understandable.
It's like they sound so similar stories. You know, the characters are kind of close, and the conflicts are very similar. It's all sword play. It's very, very theatrical, not flamboyant. Ian, not flamboyant. So what do you think it is about like Zorro's look, personality, and charm that makes him such an intriguing character that lasts forever?
Well, it's a very simplistic look. You know, there's not really a whole lot to it. It's not,
but it's striking at
the
same time.
You know, it exudes mystery, makes you feel almost very supernatural in a way. You know, you got the black cape and the mask and everything. You know, you think about it, like if he gets into a dark hallway, you can't see him coming at you when he attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, it's just the flair that he has with all the flips and and having fun. You know, kind of putting the fight on his terms and throwing his opponents off balance. But I mean, like the costume designer for this said how she tried to basically differentiate between Antonio's look as Zorro and Anthony Hopkins' look as Zorro. With Anthony Hopkins, his costume, she said it was more inspired by his Spanish heritage. And with Antonio's, it's more of his Mexican heritage. You know, that's why like his is has a little bit more color to it, with like the little gold trims around the hat and everything like that. And plus it just, you know, it just looks so cool.
Looks cool. I was getting ready to say that exact same thing. Yeah, it looks cool. And black is just an awesome color. It's my favorite color of like clothing and stuff. So I love that look anyway.
Yeah. Anything goes well with black.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's not really that complicated, right?
Nope.
He just looks awesome, and he's strange and different.
Remember when we did the Rocketeer, talking about his outfit? It was just something so simple. I remember Ian was talking about that as well. Just the outfit's just so simple, and the helmet's just so good, and just sometimes the simple things work the best.
Yep. I think part of it too is like the black suit. It contrasts his like over the top personality and his whimsy. They're very contrasting elements, and that sometimes those contrasting elements make for a more pungent character.
It's very operatic when you think about it.
That's right.
It kind of makes you think of other characters that are kind of similar to him, like the Phantom of the Opera.
I knew you were going to say that.
Dracula. They have you give them a big flowing cape, and it just makes them feel even bigger than life. Same thing with Batman.
Well, it's kind of funny because these characters, both versions of Zorro, they're so dramatic and theatrical, and it kind of seems like they are seeking attention a little bit. And it's kind of funny because they have all of these really pungent, like strong impressions they give off, but they wear this dark alias. You know what I mean? It's an alias at the end of the day, and it's dark, and it's just so different than like the vibes and the energy that they're giving off, which is so colorful and vibrant, and they're wearing this dark shroud to cover themselves up. Those two things, they're just so different from one another.
It's part of the performance, because you look at him when he's playing the part of an arrogant aristocrat at the party. He's coming off as smug and full of himself,
just like Bruce Wayne.
Yep, and the word that they would use in the olden days is foppish. And he's too playful. He cares more about champagne and whining and dining women, but also he faints at the sight of violence or blood. In the 1940s Mark of Zorro with Tyrone Power, he kind of does it even more so, where he's taking out a handkerchief and being like, "Oh, I find dancing very fatiguing." But it's to throw them off, thinking like, if the thought ever enters somebody's mind that maybe this guy could be Zorro, instantly they're reminded of how he was acting at the party, and they're like, no way. This guy doesn't even like sword fighting. He doesn't like riding with horses or gunplay. He says, "Gives me a frightful headache." And so it's like it's meant to throw off people, but then when he's in this Zorro outfit, that's when he can finally really be himself.
How do you guys think Alejandro was able to keep his composure when the captain surprised him with a preserved jar featuring his brother's head and Fred's head? Because he played that off so well, and that was, that's kind of one of the more impressive moments from Alejandro, is that, he didn't see that coming, and it's like such a scarring, damning image, and he plays it off so well, and he doesn't really shed any suspicion.
I think it's a reflection of his training.
Before we get into that, though, when the brother killed himself, that's why I was hoping the scene would have gone a little bit longer, that we can maybe see the sadistic nature of the villain, because we really didn't get a lot of that in the beginning of it, and then randomly it's like, oh, you have this head collection. That's kind of weird. Maybe we should have explored that a little bit more. Like that went from 0 to 100. Really?
He's got to have more of those. Like, why just have that head?
Yeah. Like, what is this guy's deal? Like, can we go a little bit more with that?
It's like he took it personally, when he was going after them, and they gave him such a hard time, and then the younger brother got away, and he cut off the guy's head. We knew that. We saw it in him carrying it in the sack later. So I don't know. I feel like him keeping the head is just kind of like a memento of this conquest that he had.
And plus, he says to him this little story about how these South American Indians would, drink the blood of their enemies. So he's clearly into some pretty sick stuff, just behind the scenes. But of course, I guess for ratings reasons, and they were like, we can't delve too much into that, but we're just using this much. This is as grotesque as we can go. It's another reason why they didn't want Robert Rodriguez in the end, because he actually had planned in the script for there to be fight scenes where Zorro does decapitate some of his
that'd be awesome.
some of his
sounds like Robert Rodriguez.
but the studio was like, the hero shouldn't be doing that. That sends the wrong message. But the bad guy can do that, so
that's fair.
But like, it's a moment where it's a test, because clearly, Captain Love can tell this is probably Joaquin Murrieta's brother, and there's something off about him, and he's trying to basically make him show his hand, and he feels like this is probably the best way to throw him off, because he thinks he's going to react like, breaking down in tears or maybe try to fight him or something. But when he does that moment where he drinks from that water, as gross as it is,
that was crazy.
Yeah, that's him selling the performance.
Yeah,
and it is very shocking.
Yeah, he did that to save more lives. That was a great shocker too. Like, who could have imagined he'd be doing that?
He holds it in until he gets outside and breaks the cane.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that was rough.
It's another testament of how good an actor Antonio Banderas really is.
Well, so we're lightly covering the captain, and I think the captain plays a pretty intriguing role in this movie. It's not like he's not like the central, source of evil, but he's definitely a big problem. And obviously Alejandro, really a major reason he got involved in all this action was to get revenge. So he plays, he's a thorn in his side, and we're always kind of waiting for him to die. And there's just something about him though that is kind of like gripping, and there's something he just kind of sticks with you. And we don't really have all that much screen time with him, and I don't think we get like a deep dive of his character. But what do you think it is that makes the captain such a compelling villain that plagues Alejandro throughout the film?
He's just ruthless the entire time, and he's just one of those characters that you just root for him to die in the end. And when it happens, like, yeah, finally got him.
Yeah, I'm going to say exactly that. Like, ruthless was the first word that came to mind when you asked that question. That's clear early on.
Yeah. And also he's kind of a counterbalance to Montero as a villain. Montero is much more calculated and
more sophisticated.
More sophisticated. This guy, he's a military man, and so clearly he's like the bad side of the military, where he's become so consumed with violence that it's pleasure for him. And so you have to have that henchman, that classic henchman, which is more about the physical part of taking on the hero, whereas the main villain, Montero, is more about the psychological part, or
the calculating
part,
scheming.
I think part of what he offered was, he when Alejandro is playing like the noble, which he plays that role for quite a bit in this movie, behind enemy lines. He spends a decent amount of time with him. And I felt like that was a great bit of tension, seeing those two characters side by side so many times. And he's just holding his tongue. And then even worse yet, you have the scene where he has the head of his brother. And it's like those kind of moments, they accrue, right? And they make you feel even more discomforted by this character. You just can't wait for him to die, because you could kind of just feel that tension, and you feel how uncomfortable the entire situation is for the hero we're following.
And another interesting fact is that Captain Love is actually based on a real person who crossed paths with Joaquin Murrieta. His name was actually Love, but he wasn't a military captain. He was a Texas Ranger.
Oh, okay.
Did he keep heads in a jar? I feel like you really can't have a day job if that's what you're into.
Yeah.
Maybe not today, but probably back then. Who knows?
Yeah.
It was a different time back then.
That's true.
I mean, people literally took scalps and sold them for money.
That's a good point.
Yeah. He's not like too complicated, but he was definitely just offered an entertainment angle too. He definitely just offered more entertainment. I'm glad he was there because I don't think Montero was intriguing enough to root against the whole movie. What is it about his character? We might as well jump to him, Montero. Let me pull up a picture of him. I just have this one. I couldn't find very many good ones. He's a pretty ugly dude in this, but he's pretty interesting. For me, I felt like he's wicked, obviously, and he makes sick choices. But at the same time, he doesn't really come across as like a totally evil dude. And I think that's because, I don't know, I guess I don't really see him do anything particularly evil until the very end. But
well, that's because he has this. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let me finish the question first. Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I feel like I'm wondering what you guys think. Do you think the film is trying to make him feel less malicious despite his evil intentions, or do you have like a different interpretation of how he was presented? What were you saying?
Well, he's supposed to have like this twisted sense of destiny. Like he believes it was his destiny to build this country, build his own country, and basically go down in history as like a king. That's literally what the director Martin Campbell and the writers talked about, him as a villain. What he basically wants to make a name for himself, because you think about it, at the beginning he's a Spanish governor. He represents Spain, and it's right around the time when Santa Anna basically takes California and you think about how humiliating that is for him in his political career. And he says in the film at that party, he says, "I was under the impression that I was out of favor with the Spanish court once California was lost to Mexico." So clearly he's trying to regain a sense of position, but more so than what he used to be. He literally wants to be like a monarch.
Yeah, he's actually, compared to Love, he's pretty layered, because you do see some of the, I don't know, goodness ish in him when his love, because he loved Anthony Hopkins' wife, his love, she gets killed in front of him, and that was clearly not something that he wanted, and he took his anger out on the guy that accidentally killed her. So he's not all heartless, or I mean, he's not great, but he's definitely I feel like he's a bit more, I want to say dangerous, because he's more calculating and he has this grand plan, and Love is just like this thug, this brute. He's more simple.
Yeah.
So it's a good contrast between them.
Yeah.
I thought he was good because his plan wasn't overly ridiculous. It wasn't just cartoonish. I'm going to take over the world or something.
Yep.
It's like, I'm going to use this gold here to
the mustache twirly. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to use the gold here to buy this place, to get political power. And it wasn't something too over the top. But I guess it paired perfectly with Love, because he was that evilness that the movie was missing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think those are fair points. I guess we're gonna go to the final chapter of the story, everybody. And this is my favorite picture that I have. This is just such a great action shot. I love it. This would be a cool print to get made to get printed.
You should paint it.
Ooh, man, I don't like this movie nearly enough to paint it. No way. Man. I have to absolutely love something to draw it. And I don't paint. I don't really paint. I do markers. I paint murals, but that's like a work thing. This is like illustrate. Everybody thinks I paint. It's funny. I guess they kind of look like paintings, but no. Yeah, markers. They're illustrations, markers. But no, I wouldn't draw this unless it just totally knocked my socks off. It's great. It's a great movie. It's a lot of fun, of course, but no, it's not there. I am going to work on a never-ending story.
I knew you were going to say that. Yes. I was going to say something about never-ending story.
That's right.
Yes, and you need to paint a picture of the horse sinking.
Wow, yeah, real inspiring. Yeah, real inspiring.
Seen that ruin
indeed.
1,000 childhoods.
The best.
Have you seen that AI fix of that scene
Oh man,
where the horse is brought out of the?
if only.
That's
right.
good. Yeah, could they help? Could we get the horse out of there, please? Yeah, that was a good one. But here in chapter 6, the final chapter, Alejandro and Diego Anthony Hopkins race to the mines to free the workers. And amongst the chaos, Diego takes on Montero for a final face-off, while Alejandro confronts the man who killed his brother. Diego, sustaining life-endangering injuries, kills Montero, which in turn avenges his wife, while Alejandro avenges his brother by killing the captain. The prisoners, they are freed right on time as Diego, mortally wounded, blesses Alejandro and Elena's future and passes away. Years pass, and Alejandro, he's now the new Zorro, absolutely, and Elena are married with a son, continuing the legend. The legend lives on. What did you guys find to be special about this final theatrical conflict? What do you guys think worked well? Just talk about the scene altogether.
What was the line he said when he put the Z on his face? This is so the devil knows who sent you.
Ooh.
That's from the second.
Oh, is that the second one?
Damn. I'm mistaken.
No,
Get your story straight.
Never mind. I'm just gonna be quiet for the rest.
Way
of
to
it.
spoil it, Joe.
He put the M. I like that he put the M on Love's face
Yeah.
for Murrieta.
I was
Yeah.
like, wait, that's not a Z.
Yeah, I know, and they very quickly explained that. But something that I liked, and obviously there's so much about this film I had forgot. I do remember the mine stuff, them trying to save the people. I remember her shooting the doors, but I liked that. What's his face? Is Montoya,
Montero.
right? Montero.
Yeah.
Montoya. Oh my gosh.
Hello,
How
my name is Inigo Montoya.
he
It's all the same.
he came crashing down on Love, and they both kind of went out together. I thought that was funny. I had forgotten about that.
Oh yeah.
And they both are killed by the gold.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's their comeuppance.
Poetic justice.
Yeah, but it's like it's just a epic scale finale. Something that you just don't see anymore. And plus it all ends with the big explosion, one of the biggest explosions in movie history, which they actually had to do it 3 times.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
Because the first time it wasn't as big as they wanted it to be. The second time it was big, but nothing was destroyed. And then it was the third time that they everything, you see all the splinters and everything that's when it really destroyed. And they ended up using the footage of all 3 throughout the film.
Nice.
You notice how in the explosions, the sound effects, you can hear the roar of a leopard or a jaguar.
I did. I noticed that. It was the same jaguar sound they play for the Carolina Panthers. The same cat sound. Yeah.
It's a weird addition to that, but it actually makes the sound effect.
I don't understand what was the point of that. I really don't get that.
Enhance the explosions. I don't know.
I mean, why didn't they just throw in the Wilhelm scream somewhere too?
I have kind of a dumb question here, but when they film explosions like this, do the cameras survive? Do they
have to?
Nor the people or the cameras survive. It's a big tragedy. It's
the people don't. The cameras do.
Yeah. Well, I always thought it was they had the camera plugged in, and then when it blows up, they pressed record and it brought it over to a computer or something.
They're explosion-proof cameras. They're
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they put them in little mini bunkers or something like that.
Yeah, or maybe they're far enough away.
Yeah, it's just pretty far off shot. Also, that famous moment where just before he does the fight with Love, where he got that little standoff and he does the thing with the sword and it glints in the sun.
That was
that's
cool
awesome.
Shot.
That's
I like that.
Shot. That was sweet.
That was
That was slick.
That was practical.
CGI.
Well, okay, yeah, they shone a light on it or something. That was cool though.
No, that was the sun.
It's little stuff like
was
that.
Was the sun? They just turned it. Oh, okay.
It's little.
I thought it was a
elements
light,
like that
maybe.
that just adds so much. It just adds to the whole legendary aspect
Flair,
of this character.
creative
right?
flair. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need that.
Artistic.
And it's like, plus you get both of these fights. This is what both of these men have been working towards here to get their revenge, get their justice, and it pays off. And of course, Elena does get to do a little something here, a little something constructive.
She got a little something, and she's the reason that Diego's dead.
Oh, come on. We can't blame her for that.
That's the little something she did.
She doesn't really get to do anything until the second one.
Isn't he dead because of his thirst for revenge, technically?
Ooh.
Technically, yeah.
You could have just let it go.
That's true. That's true.
Well, yeah. I mean, but yeah, it's still great, to see these stunts being played, and it's just classic swashbuckling sword play and the action. But you got that moment where what is it? Oh, there's so many good moments. The part where he carves the M on his face, and that's where he's basically omitting to love. I'm here, and now I'm back for my brother, for what you did to him. And then of course he takes off his mask and showing him, oh, by the way, I was that guy that you thought.
Yeah, that was good. I like seeing him stab him, and you saw the sword in his stomach, like
through him.
Finally, finally. I want way more of that. It's not even graphic. Like, come on, that should have happened like 1,000 times.
Yeah, it definitely.
Imagine the R-rated version. He cuts people's heads off left and right, arms, fingers.
I don't know if
legs.
you could.
No, it wouldn't work because that's not the kind of character Zorro was.
That would be
Zorro
crazy.
was meant to be like that.
It's true. It's not, but I still would have loved to see it.
Yeah, a Django Zorro film. That sounds good. I'm starting to appreciate this.
Tarantino has to do it though.
I don't think
That should be his 10th and final film.
That'd be fun.
He's not going to stop.
Sure, yes.
I mean, they got like a new Cliff Booth film that's a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood coming out, and that he wrote, and he didn't direct that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's not directing, but he's producing and writing and essentially a part of the entire process, but he's not directing it.
Yeah. But it's like,
might as well.
But yeah, for this film, it's just a beautiful, epic scale ending for the story. And I think like there's a lot of great films with set pieces at the very end where you have the hero and the villain, making their final stand against each other, and the setting helps sell the mood that you're supposed to feel. And I think this is definitely one of those moments. It's the whole point of the mind is it's basically hell on earth. All these people being used as slaves and everything, and now it's like they're literally gonna blow up the place with them inside it.
I liked seeing how Zorro. It kind of seemed like this dude was no match for him, and that he was sort of playing with his food the whole time. I kind of liked thinking of it in that fashion.
Yeah, it's like
because this dude, it just didn't seem like he had a chance against him. But they were two very different fights. Down there, obviously they both want revenge. There's a future for Anthony Hopkins' bout, because he's kind of saving his daughter by doing that. But down here with Alejandro, this is sort of like the end of the road with this story. He kills him and that's it. And then you have two different, you have the young bucks down here going at it. Then up there you have the old warriors who still have their faculties, giving it one last dance. And I think I appreciated that fight a lot more because, it was you could just tell that these characters, someone was going to go, and, they were more vulnerable because of their age. And, that's what happened. This whole movie, Zorro, he just seems like he has this glow about him where nothing is really going to happen. And even Anthony Hopkins when he's younger, obviously. But I felt like there was definitely real tension when the old guys were fighting because, he was actually getting cut and, they're both old dudes. And that's what ended up happening. Of the two, of the two fights, which one do you think worked better, and which one did you like more?
I feel like Anthony Hopkins' fight was much more dull because, like, was that him? Like, he constantly did the same thing over and over. He held the sword to him, and then he would go away, and then have another Who was that? Was that Anthony Hopkins' fight, or was that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. That one did not work. It was just kind of boring. This one was much better. This one does.
Yeah.
Two guys in their 60s at this point.
The choreography of the fight between the younger ones was much more thrilling, exciting, because they're also fighting on top of that box thing, and they can fall. And I thought it was very creative in how it was carried out.
Yeah, the fight between Alejandro and Love is definitely more the big showstopper. You know, the entertainment factor, whereas the fight between Diego and Montero has more meaning to it. You know, but of course, we want to see a big, epic fight with you know, backflips and, you know, explosions and more high speed, you know, sword play. So that's what we're gonna get with Antonio and you know, and his fight. And it works, you know, they both work, you know, I think. But yeah, I'd say in the long run, the fight with Diego does have more weight to it, because it like you said, there is potential future for him with having his daughter back if he won that fight. But of course, that doesn't pan out because, you know, he's older, and yet somebody's got to die, you know, to basically make it more serious. And of course, he's, you know, it's him, because, you know, he's willing to die for his daughter if it means she's free of this guy. And you know, of course, it ends with him giving them his blessing, you know, because he's like, I trust you with my daughter.
Yeah, that was special. I liked that. What a great exit for his character. You know, he saw Antonio from such a low place in the beginning and watched him become, you know, a fine young man. And there he goes. Like, that's the last thing he does, is he entrusts him with his daughter, who he just died for. Like, that's pretty crazy, you know? What guy doesn't want that to happen?
I just didn't like the way he died. It was cheesy. He just like,
I don't know.
I mean, come on, Anthony, you're better than that. Give us something more meaty.
Yeah, die better, man.
It reminded me of the death in the Dark Knight Rises. Yes, with the chick, the way she's like, oh.
I'm glad she died.
I am too, but it was terrible looking.
She was awful.
It was
cringe.
That at all.
See, Christopher Nolan has been terrible for years. We're just all catching on to it now.
You know who was also terrible was Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh, she was awful in The Dark Knight. What a downgrade in casting.
Yeah.
I don't like her anyway. And so when she passed, I was like, oh, okay, good. She's out of the picture.
If I was Batman, I wouldn't have jumped out of the building to save her.
No. And Joker's talking about, so beautiful. You know, it's like, are you sure? Are you talking about the same lady?
Right? Like, what's wrong with your eyes? Get them checked.
Are you thinking of Katie Holmes? Wasn't that her name?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the first
Rachel.
one, Batman Begins.
Oh, is it Rachel Holmes?
No, Katie Holmes. You played Rachel.
Yeah,
Rachel. Yeah. Katie Holmes played Rachel in the first one, and then the second one, the downgrade happened.
Nobody liked that casting.
How did that
just let her drop off the building.
So in conclusion, guys, what would you change about this movie if you could?
We got to see the dancing scene.
That would be fun.
In like a year from now, we're just gonna make it with AI, and that's it.
The dancing training scene, is that what you're talking about? Yes. That is like scene. Yes, that's a big deal to me. The dancing training scene.
It's a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be a nice.
It is.
Other than that, I don't think there's really anything I would change. I think the villains were pretty good yin and yang depictions. You know, one was just more business, the other one was more ruthless, and we got to see that through the final scenes of it. It's not really one of those movies where I would really change that much of it. I think it worked out pretty perfectly.
Yeah, it definitely stands on its own. One. Yeah. And you know who Antonio Banderas said he would choose to be a new younger Zorro?
Austin Butler.
Michael B. Jordan.
No.
Joke, they might actually do that.
Tom Holland?
Tom.
Yes, that was
No, absolutely not. Get out of here with that nonsense, Antonio.
No,
Come on.
He's tripping ball.
No.
I
would not watch a Tom Holland Zorro movie.
No. Tom
makes
Holland
no
with one of those
sense.
thin little mustaches.
Come on, it's
with a
modern
Mexican
times.
accent.
This doesn't work anymore.
The actor I think would make a good younger Zorro if they ever chose to do an origin story of Diego would have to be the kid who plays Miguel in Cobra Kai.
Ooh.
Agree. He would be good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. Is he that good of an actor?
Oh yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, he's good.
He's
Yeah,
good.
he's all
Plus-
right, you
plus
know.
he's
Cobra
already
Kai
good.
hater over here.
He's
I
very
love
very
Cobra Kai.
earnest.
I met
Yeah.
him.
You did meet him?
really?
Yeah, I met him at
Oh.
Con. He was cool.
Yeah. Plus
Yeah.
he's already been trained in karate, so there's
Yeah,
he's
he could
already
do
got that
it.
down.
He's a sweet
I think
kid.
if I could change anything, I don't think I would get rid of Catherine Zeta-Jones' character. I think I would just try to make. I would.
get rid
No,
of
no,
her.
You've
no, I
warmed
said I
up to
won't.
her.
I said, okay,
You've
well,
warmed up to her now.
No,
We've
no.
convinced you.
No, but I'm
look,
just
this is
surprised
still
that
a
the words
change.
came out
This
of
is-
your mouth.
I
Like,
haven't even
Right.
said the change yet. The
Okay,
change
what's the
is
change?
I
What's
would
the
make
change?
the relationship deeper. Like,
Yeah.
I would want.
Okay.
I would want there to be some real connection there,
Okay,
other than two
yeah.
good
love
looking
at
people in the
first
same
sight.
room.
You can't get much more deeper than that.
I
No,
know.
that
There
was
had to
not
be
love.
something.
That was not love at first sight, you guys.
It
Let's
was
be
what
real.
was
It was
that at
lust
first
at
sight?
first sight.
It's the
you
same
know.
thing.
No,
That's
it's
the
not.
same
No,
thing.
it's not. No, it's not.
That's why you need to have a little bit more, add more to the love story where you actually have some private moments. And also, like, at least you've seen her use a sword with Antonio. So let her use the sword at the end. Have, like, maybe she's fighting some of the other guys, that are,
Yeah.
And she
going
could girl
through-
boss all of them.
Well, the sequel, they let her do that a little bit more, it seems.
Yeah, but that the thing that people didn't like about that was like the whole bickering couple part of the movie.
Oh, I love that. That felt
I
so
mean,
real to me.
it was nice. It had its
That felt
moments.
real to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had its moments, but at the same time, I can see why it was kind of overdone. But yeah, I mean, at least let her have a little sword fight with some of the other henchmen and the mine and stuff like that, because yeah, she had her little sword fight with with Zorro earlier, which was just another sexy moment, comedy moment and stuff like that. But also just to show how they're equals. But it's like, let her at least use that in this film a little bit more than her just running around shooting off locks with a musket.
That is a good point, because like I said, we did see her use a sword and we had her talk about that. She's a sword fighter. So yeah, I guess we could have maybe given her some scenes of that.
Yeah. I mean, that was a fun scene, but of course it was mainly just done for, because she had sex appeal and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think, does everybody recommend this movie?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
The Mask of Zorro, 1998.
I do.
The beginning of Antonio Banderas' journey as Zorro.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
fantastic.
all right,
That
I
one, love the
recommend
second one
across the
too.
It's a fun one.
All right.
Fun.
We may talk about the sequel in the future. I don't know about the near future, but in the future, it is in contention. But yes, we appreciate all you guys for joining us tonight and watching. And I appreciate you, panel. Thank you all for joining us. Sin, World War Joe, and Ian. Always great. And Luke,
Thanks
having
for
you
having
on.
me.
Always a pleasure. We're leaving a little early today. I'm sick of streaming for this week. I want to just take a break, live life, be out of the internet. So yeah, but it was great. It was great talking with y'all about the movie. If you guys liked what these great panelists had to say, please be sure to check them out in the bio below and give them a sub. Support them. It doesn't hurt. You may find your new favorite channel, as Wilkie always says. I always appreciate that. So yes, please be sure to do that. And be sure to sub to me too, Box Office Brawler, if you can, if you're new here. Greatly appreciate it. We do this every week, Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time live. And next week, we are going to be talking about Dark Crystal. Ooh. We did the old switcheroo. Now it's next week. So yes, it's going to be a bleak, weird day. It's going to be interesting, but we'd love to have you guys there. And we appreciate all you guys as always. Never forget, give them the Duke and give them the dog. We'll see you next week, everybody. Peace out.
Bye.
What kind of person are you? Are you the kind
sees signs, sees miracles? Or do you believe that people just get lucky?